Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. I am your host, Jim Root, joined by the rest of the three-man weave crew, Ky McKeon and Matt Cox. It is your usual Monday morning episode, taking a look at the college basketball betting world on Monday and Tuesday, going through the biggest games of the week, some massive mid-major games, some favorite favorites, some live dogs, some good spots. We'll tell you everything that we're playing and hopefully continue to be a little bit profitable as we've been on this particular show so far this season. Boys, we ready to kick it up to another gear here? We didn't have the same 13 and 2 week that we did last week, but we were all positive and making money is the story, Ky. So let's keep it up.
I love making money. I'm excited to maybe make more.
Smart man. Good man.
Yes.
Don't promise
Hedge
the
your
folks
bets.
anything. There are no locks, but we're gonna hopefully give you some good angles, some good thoughts to get into. We do come to you every single Monday morning here on the BBOC feed. You can also listen to the midweek episode and find me again on the Friday episode with Stuckey and Greg Waddell previewing the weekend slate, talking Saturday and Sunday. So we're hitting you 3 times a week, talking all things college basketball betting. Be sure to tune in to the BBOC feed. All right, fellas, let's get into our first big segment. It is the big games of the week. We're starting on Monday. We're getting into the real big Monday of it all in college basketball, and there's a huge one in the Big 12. Bit of an undercard in the ACC. We got Kansas at Texas Tech. Kansas coming off that almost demolition of BYU that turned into a close game. The Peterson-Debonsa title fight got broken up halfway through, and Peterson sat out. And then Syracuse at UNC, the Heels, a 10-point favorite on Monday with the look ahead to Duke looming there. Kyle, let's start in the Big 12 with that game. Texas Tech is -2 at KenPom, but I've seen some 4.5 in the market.
Wow.
I think there is some speculation that Mr. Peterson may not play or be at full strength 48 hours after that, sitting out the second half against BYU. You've also got Texas Tech off a loss against
Hmm.
UCF. They couldn't get any stops. I'm a Red Raider man here, Ky, even at 4.5. What do you think?
Yeah, clearly, I guess, early market, considering Peterson, but also the spot tax, the almighty spot tax. It's a good spot for Texas Tech, right? Off the loss, like you mentioned, Kansas off the big win at home. You go to a place in Lubbock that is one of the toughest places to play in the country. It's down to fifth in a home court advantage per KenPom. Used to be number one. Apparently now it's number five. I do think Texas Tech can win this game. I'm not sure I want to lay 4.5, Matthew. I like the KenPom line better at two. But I worry that Toppin's going to have a harder time scoring against Kansas, clearly, than UCF. Kansas's defense is elite, incredible, and especially on the interior. Now, they do allow teams to beat them with the jumper, and Texas Tech's been excellent this season shooting the three. Christian Anderson's been amazing. Have a couple other shooters at will, Watts to a certain extent. I think Texas Tech gets it done. I do like the spot for Texas Tech, Matthew, but again, I'm not paying the premium.
I'm not paying the premium either. I just looking at Kansas' profile, their defense has been just rock solid, all especially Big 12 play. It's funny, they're fifth in the league overall, but second in 2-point percentage defense, first in block rate. And you just look at the eye test of Badunga and Tiller. I gotta think this is probably the toughest matchup Toppin's faced all year. So you can cut his water off, and then you get some pressure out of the perimeter on Christian Anderson, make the others of Texas Tech beat you. I think the matchup really, really skews pretty hard here to KU. But again, we'll see how much the spot factors in the other way. I will not be involved in this game. I think four, that's where it settles, is a pretty fair price.
I'm gonna lay it 4.5, boys. I'll pay the premium. And I will say I don't think it's as much of a premium as that -2 to -4.5 difference indicates, especially if Peterson's out. I think the Kansas ceiling performance is with Peterson in there. And you got Texas Tech getting healthier. And I believe that team is going to come together. Maybe 48 hours after a loss isn't the right time to assume that. But with Josiah Mosley in his third game back, Luke Bamgoy in his second game back, you got another couple of bodies up front to battle Badunga, to battle Tiller, who had that big, big game against BYU. And Maddie, you mentioned Mr. Toppin. I'm not sure anybody shuts his water off. Last 5 games, he's gone for 27, 31, 22, 27, 31. The guy just has pristine touch in the paint. You get him on those short rolls. Anderson hits him on the pocket pass. He's got incredible feel with that lefty hook. I think he finds some of those against Badunga. And with my anticipation that we're not going to get a huge, long performance from Darren Peterson if he plays, I can't imagine he gets up to 30 minutes in a game like this coming off those cramps. I'm going to buy Texas Tech. If I told you guys that Texas Tech was at the same elevation as Montana, would you be surprised?
Ah, we knew this, Jim, but
You
I'm
knew
sure the
this.
listeners are
Listeners might not
surprised.
have.
It is
Yeah.
surprising. You don't think of Lubbock as an elevation place.
Hard to
Yeah.
get to, elevation, crazy crowd. Yeah, it just sets up as a tough place to go win.
Yep, that short turnaround going from Lawrence with personnel question marks. I will ride with the Red Raiders. I'm going to lay it at 4.5. That is the official line at both DraftKings and FanDuel right now. So going to lock it in there. I think I'd take it up to 5, but I would not go past that. And full disclosure, I was on Texas Tech on Saturday, and that didn't work out. So, people take that as you will. All right, the undercard, the less exciting game on Monday, Syracuse at UNC. Matthew, you are the Dookie of this podcast, so you know that that big matchup is coming. We'll talk about both the Heels and the Blue Devils in the spot section as well. But for this matchup, Syracuse coming to town. Who knows what's up with Donnie Freeman? Didn't start last game. If you can figure him out, Matthew, you might have a future as a coach whisperer or player whisperer in the NBA. Any thoughts for you here? The early lines I'm trying to find right now. Where are you, Syracuse? 10.5, Matthew. The Heels are laying.
Yeah, I'm tempted to lay it with the Heels. I've been very impressed with UNC lately. I think they have two of their lowest turnover rates in the last couple of games, and like historically good. You got Trimble back and Dixon's cruising, kind of reshuffling the backcourt rotation. We know how good Caleb Wilson is, and I was kind of worried about his foot thing. That was spooky. Like, ooh, he's not going to be 100% all year. He's going to have to miss some time. I think there's some buy low vibes with me, Kai, with this UNC team. I mean, they're not like overly taxed in the market. They're 30th right now in Ken Pom. I think they're better than that. And I know Syracuse has the random ability to like, oh yeah, we're talented. We'll play like it today. I feel like they're going to trend more in the zombie white flag direction than the like kind of start to ride the Donnie Freeman upward swing, I guess. So yeah, I like UNC quite a
Yeah.
bit here. I haven't officially locked it in, but I think if it maybe falls to 9 or something, I might lay it.
To your point, Matt, UNC, yeah, this is their best ever turnover rate in Ken Pom era. So 30 odd years for UNC. They don't turn it over. That helps. They don't make teams uncomfortable on the defensive end, but a lot of their poor defense right now is driven by really poor shooting luck on this end. ACC teams are shooting 42% from three against them. That's dead last in the ACC. Syracuse can shoot. It's not their first option, and frankly, I don't really trust Syracuse's offense anytime. It's very discombobulated. It's my turn, your turn. When Freeman's on the floor, it's his show. Ky Anthony takes too many shots. I agree with Matt. I think UNC is a bit underrated right now. I don't think they're 29. I think they're a little better than that. Caleb Wilson clearly a star. Jim, I don't give a ton of credence to the look ahead, quote unquote, spot to Duke. It's on Saturday. This game's on Monday. I'd lean towards UNC's way because I just do not trust Syracuse. It's not where I choose to put my money.
Yeah, Syracuse, I just can't trust in the matchup. UNC's defense is elite at forcing mid-range jumpers. It's like that heavy, heavy drop coverage. SMU is really good at making them. Ebuka Okore for Stanford, really good at making them. That is not Syracuse's strength. If Nathan George and JJ Starling are going to fire 15 to 18 footers all game, I think UNC can run away. I'm not going to lay it because of the spot. I think the look ahead and just the sandwich factor of it. They had that huge Virginia win last weekend. This weekend, they have a pretty strong performance wire to wire against Georgia Tech. If there is kind of a dud spot in the schedule, it's against a Syracuse team that has lost 4 of 5, isn't really a threat to the tournament, and you got Duke on the horizon. So I would definitely lean towards the Heels, especially in the matchup sense, but I'm not going to actually lock it in as an official play. To Tuesday we go. Another couple of headliners here. NC State at SMU, the aforementioned Mustangs there, two teams that look like they're headed towards the tournament from the ACC, although SMU getting a little more tenuous in their grip on a bid, whereas NC State's playing very well. And then Indiana, -1 at USC, the second leg of their West Coast trip after they took care of business in overtime at UCLA. A surprising victory there. You got a great Mick Cronin. I saw somebody joke on Twitter, like the audacity of the Big Ten to make UCLA go from their locker room all the way to the court. What insane travel those poor Bruins had to do. That was a great joke, whoever made it. But Indiana looking to just continue the role they're on. A lot of bubble people talking about how they've gone from like 10 teams out of the tournament to 10 teams in the tournament with their last 2 wins. Kai, I'll let you pick whichever one of these matchups you want to break down most because they're both -1 at Ken Pom. We don't
Yeah.
have official lines, so kind of coin flip type games.
I'm leaning the home team in the ACC game, so SMU, and then I do like Indiana at USC. I was impressed with SMU against Louisville. They ended up not covering, but they were leading that game for, I would say, 30-ish minutes before Louisville kind of forked them at the end. Their guards are very, very good. Booby Miller is awesome. BJ Edwards is very, very good. Jaron Pierre, very good. And Ituglu, yeah, Ikituglu, excuse me. Ikituglu? I gotta pronounce his name right.
That works.
He's very effective inside. 7'2" center, has his moments, sometimes a little bit soft and unable to finish, but I'm impressed with him as well. I think this is a good game for them. They can pick off NC State, who's looked much better this season as well. Four straight wins, 7-2 in the ACC. So I like SMU. I'm going to add that one. And then I like Matt's Hoosiers, man. I thought UCLA was a really good matchup for them because UCLA cannot punish them inside, and that's what we're worried about with Indiana every single game in the Big Ten. I'm not really sure USC can either. I'm not too scared of their front line. Auser, Kofi, not really intimidating to me. And obviously, it's not a lot of travel for Indiana. USC, Matt, really disappointing effort against Rutgers. Thought they were going to blow the doors off the Scarlet Knights, let them hang around. So give me SMU, give me Indiana.
Yeah, at least Indiana knows like what their team is right now. We'll see if Taden Conway plays, but I like that they have a pretty good backup with Enright behind them, who clearly knows how to run the offense. USC, it's like okay, now we have Elijah Arenas back. We're trying to get him in there, and Jordan Marsh is hurt, who was like a key like off the bench piece. He's been out the last 3 games. Gabe Dimes, we were trying to play a lot in January. I didn't really work out, so he's now falling back. It's just been a total like Muss throwing stuff at the wall, which is kind of what Muss does. It's why he typically his teams peak in March, and from like lower seed spots. But I don't know. I was kind of thinking Indiana keeps it going, but I don't know. I was really torn in this game. Yeah, just the lack of USC continuity is what bothers me. I was trying to find the stats for ATS for teams that have played their second game on the West Coast. I'm still mining that currently, but I think it's not been the edge that I thought it was. It's not been the edge that Cronin bemoans it as. But still, that's how I do lean IU here.
Okay, yeah, I think the Conway thing does loom a little bit large. I mean, you'd love to have him get underneath Chad Baker Mazara. Enright's been very good at that.
Defensively, I think it
But
matters for sure. Yeah.
yep. USC, I mean, the only like good stretch of basketball, I guess they won at Wisconsin, but like the stretch against Iowa where they got 19 straight from Cam Woods, who had
Cam Woods, right? Yeah.
33 in that game. In his other 9 games at USC, he has 33 combined. So
Yeah.
like I'm not buying that Cam Woods explosion. I think that was a one-time aberration. As Matt mentioned, Arenas is really not instilled into the lineup. I think Asar could have some success because he just draws so many fouls. He lives at the free
Yeah.
throw line and they attack those
Physical.
mismatches. But I'm torn on that one. I haven't been able to figure it out because I haven't been able to figure out USC much. I thought they would smack Rutgers, and the fact that they didn't was like pretty concerning to me. I am
Here's a
going to
good
take
USC
NC
stat
State
real
though.
quick.
Oh, fire away,
33 and
Matthew.
44 against the spread USC since COVID as a home team. 28 and 23 away from that cavernous
The Galen
echo.
Center.
The
Yes,
Galen
Kai's
Center,
been
yes.
there.
Yep.
So yeah, just USC at home, just like I'm not getting any home court value there when I bet them there.
Yep, agreed. I am going to take the road team in the other matchup though. I'm going to take NC State. I think Brian Geisinger put out a nice video. He's a big time ACC writer about the Quadir Copeland, Darian Williams pick and roll, pick and pop that's kind of been putting teams in the torture chamber lately. They've been playing really well, kind of sneakily because NC State hasn't played that many great opponents of late. But going back to that Clemson road win, they've really been taking care of business. 4-0 against the spread, I believe, over that span. So I kind of like the way they're trending. I think the talent is there. I always thought the roster fit was pretty strong, and Wade actually has it coming together. And that's another matchup where SMU's probably not going to bully him. Ky, you mentioned Big Sammy inside. Maybe he
Big
is
Sammy.
the key for unlocking that interior defense of NC State. But I just think they've got too many perimeter weapons. They can really light it up from the perimeter. And I think that's going to be a fun guard battle. Probably a very efficient game. I would also lean towards the over.
Yeah,
But
I agree there.
if it's -1, pick them. I'm going to take NC State. SMU, Andy Enfield, historical struggles against top 50 teams. And we saw it in the second half against Louisville, where they were winning at halftime and lost by 15. So I'm going to ride NC State. Okay, to the mid-major games of the week, fellas. We've got a huge one on Monday in the Southland. The rare top 100 matchup in the Southland Conference. McNeese going on the road to Stephen F. Austin, who is a program reborn under Brower, the new coach. And McNeese still has the remnants of the Will Wade era. Armstrong's done a great job using the NIL and stacking up the roster. But Kai, right now SFA is the team atop the standings. So McNeese is giving chase while they're on the road. Any thoughts for you on this one? Two very good defensive teams. That's kind of what shapes the matchup.
Yeah, first game was very close, very low scoring, 61 possessions. SFA actually had McNeese on the ropes on the road, and then McNeese pulled away. SFA struggled with turnovers, and that's not surprising. McNeese's defense is insane, number one in the country in turnover rate force. They're athletic, they're super long. Gary Dwal from formerly of Seton Hall and formerly of Providence as well. He's a demon on the ball and very scary, especially in this league. I, I lean towards McNeese getting it done again, even though it's at SFA. And I know SFA can kind of hang with them physically. I just think this McNeese team is so darn talented, Matt. So I'm leaning towards McNeese. No official play here.
Yeah, nothing for me. I got some more takes, Jim, on the Valley and Mac Shin single A. So yeah, keep it rolling.
Yeah, I don't have a bet on this one. I mean, the defenses are both elite but different. As Kai mentioned, the steals of McNeese, like they will just take it from you constantly. Whereas SFA is built around Jared Kernel, the massive shot blocker, completely takes away the rim for them. They're top 25 in the country in 2-point percentage defense. They lead the Southland in 3-point percentage defense, 2-point percentage defense, and free throw defense, which obviously is not in their control, but it's really hard to score against them. So that's another one. Just like the first matchup, I would anticipate an under. I think that's going to be a slugfest, slog back and forth. All right, on Tuesday, Matthew, we've got Miami of Ohio, undefeated Miami of Ohio, headed on the road to Buffalo, who has unfortunately started to look more like the Buffalo we've come to know and love under George Halkovich in league play. They have now lost six of their last seven, despite Daniel Freitag being back healthy. Can they be the one that finally stops the voodoo of Miami of Ohio, who has continued to win? They were down for much of the first half against Northern Illinois and then
Yeah.
finished the game on a just tear of a run and won by 24. What do you think, Matthew, in that matchup?
I know I thought about it. But yeah, Freitag was like kind of off in that first game. He had 22 and 8 assists, but he was 1 of 8 from the floor and 2 of 6 from 1 of 8 from two and 2 of 6 from three. Kind of shocking. Like Miami's length isn't crazy long. I think he has a better game here. I think him back at home, Buffalo just feels like they're due. If you look at the way their schedule like was shaken out, it's so front loaded. Like I don't think like they were a fraud. I just think they caught a lot of really good upper half MAC teams at a bad time when Freitag was out for one game and was probably not healthy the second, third. And yeah, they probably play a little bit above their skis. This is the game I think they get him. I don't think I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, but my gut tells me this is the one where if you've been on the Miami trying to fade them, pick off the undefeated, this feels like the time to do it.
Yeah, they're playing with fire, Miami. Four straight games. You could argue they should have lost. The NIU game, that game was tied with like 10 minutes left, and before they won by 24. NIU was winning, I think by as much as like eight or so in that game.
They're up 10 in the first
UMass
half too. Yeah,
UMass could have beaten them. Kent State probably should have at the very end. Buffalo should have beaten them. They're up three with 12 seconds left against this team in Miami. I think Buffalo gets it done. Now I'm worried about how easily Miami scored in the first game. They shot 68% from two against Buffalo. Really wasn't much of a fight there, and Buffalo had to shoot 50% from three to even keep it close. But I think in Buffalo, New York, Jim, +5 per Ken Palm. I'm going to be on the Bulls here.
Wow. All right. I love the audacity. I've just been, I was on Kent State in that game and they blow it in overtime and
Yeah,
don't
didn't
get the
cover in overtime.
cover. It's rather frustrating. Yes. And Miami have just they just got a little bit of voodoo to them right now. I do think like if they lose one game, I think they'll lose two pretty quickly. I think they've got this like cloak of invincibility on right now that if suddenly that vanishes, I think it's like a punch in the mouth that they'd be reeling from a little bit. But they've found a way every time. Elmer makes big shots. Suter makes big shots. Skaljack has made some really big shots for them, taking over the
Scouts been
starting
better than
point guard.
Ipsaro. It's like they almost
Yep.
look better with them out there.
Yeah, which is staggering. Not something I expected at all. As Kai mentioned, hyper efficient in the first game. Both teams were 1.2 points per possession, north of that. I did not expect Miami to play the defense they did down the stretch against NIU. NIU had 8 points in the final 13 minutes of that game. Like really tighten the screws there. That's why it turned into a blowout. I'm just still not sold on Miami. I'm not going to lay it. I would lean towards Buffalo. I hope Kai gets the win. I've also got some Akron Mac futures that I just continue to root for against all hope when Miami has the devil voodoo magic inside of them, but I can keep praying. right, the other one I wanted to mention on Tuesday, Nevada at Boise State. Both these teams are kind of falling by the wayside in the Mountain West race. They're well behind the top three. We don't have to dwell on this game
Oh,
too
Nevada's
much.
hanging, Jim. They're a game back.
Okay, well, fine. I don't think they're in the at-large picture, but
No, they're not.
yeah,
Not in that
the Utah
large.
State, New Mexico, San Diego State triumvirate has been like really, really good here. You're right though. Nevada lingering just outside the top 50 in Ken Palm. Any take for you on this one, Mr. McKeon, as you stick up for the Wolfpack?
No, I don't, because I don't have any like faith in them. Worth noting, they handled Boise State in the first game in Nevada, and they did it without Corey Camper, who's been a really good player for them recently and kind of part of their recent run. They beat Boise by 15 though, and they got up by like almost 30 in that game. This is not the same Boise team, Matt. This is the first year we've really seen Leon Rice stumble a bit. Obviously, they're still what top 60 in KenPom, so objectively still a pretty good year for Boise program. But we're used to seeing Leon Rice fight for at-larges. This team is just a little bit different.
Yeah, guards are bad. They're just super unathletic. Like they're long and they're big, but like you can see how they've been demolished in some games. And even Rice has said like the margin for error for this team is really, really thin. I'm probably not getting involved in this game. I can't figure out Boise, Nevada. I feel like I've been lucky to win a few bets with them. I saw the horseshoe lodged up my behind after the Grand Canyon game, but I feel like I was owed that after San Diego State against Grand Canyon. So maybe I guess I'm not even there. Just in general, the guard play in this league is not great. I think it creates a little bit more unexpected volatility in the results. So it's been kind of a frustrating part with me trying to bet some of these Mountain West games. Nothing here, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, Boise like literally has two guards, and one of them is Neto, the freshman, who isn't good. The other is Dylan Andrews, who Mick Cronin like drove out of
Is
town
excited
and
that he's
just
not
dropped
rolling
him off
first
on the
this
side
year.
of the road. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of hard to figure out. I think Boise's more like the 80th best team in the country. They leapt big
Yeah,
time after
75th.
beating
I agree.
Air Force by 42 and San Jose State by 31, and those have heavily influenced their analytical numbers. I think I'd slightly lean to Nevada, but I'm not going to get involved there.
I think GCU
Matt,
is the third best team in this league. I'm pretty convinced of that at this point.
no, they're not better than New Mexico.
Oh yeah, New Mexico. Okay,
Come
fourth
on,
best.
give Eric
Right.
Olin his flowers, my man. Yeah.
I know. You're right.
All right, let's move into the next section, live dogs of the week. I had a tough time with this, but Maddie said he's got some Missouri Valley takes, so hopefully he'll be all over it. There's one I quite like. Last week, Abilene Christian got postponed due to weather, so a big fat push on that one. Refund your money. Mizzou had no chance, but I think we kind of sniffed that out. We ended up, I was back in Alabama, and no
We
worries
didn't
there.
take it.
Oh,
Yeah, we didn't
yeah.
take it.
Ohio got blasted by Kent State. Georgia Tech did what Georgia Tech does. They hung around. And UMass, man, they almost got it done outright as like 15-point dogs against Miami, of Ohio. Just could not quite get there. Maybe it was more like 10, but they really had every chance to win that outright. I didn't find anything I liked on Monday. It's a lot of the MEAC Southland games that just weren't really charming to me. I don't trust Syracuse. But Tuesday, I circled three. South Carolina plus 11 at Texas. I know the Gamecocks have played pretty poorly lately, losing to Thomas-less LSU, getting blown out by Florida, lost by 47 at home. But I think they can hang with Texas. And you got the one I love, Matthew, UIC, who is
That's my
cooking
pick.
this one. Eight straight
Yeah.
in the Valley. They're going to Murray State, who has decided that they're actively boycotting playing defense in recent games, which is an alarming trend. They've lost four straight after being undefeated atop that league. And then I also wrote down Valpo plus 5 at Bradley. Just Valpo, a pretty competitive team under Roger Powell. Matt, what are you thinking between these Valley teams? What do you got on your docket?
Yeah, UIC is my first official play. I'm gonna go money line. I'm curious what this spread opens. KenPom, you said it has it. There's 6, right?
Yep.
Feels like that's gonna be maybe 5. But man, Murray's. I mean, analytically, they were rated a lot higher. I think people were. Seems like that they were shaded an extra point above like the Bart and KenPom numbers. But we talked about how big Elijah Crawford has been, and the fact that Easton realized that Ahmad Henderson's not that great, and we're going to play Josiah Hammonds more in his spot and Crawford back. And Johnson, the freshman's been great. The guy I like is Momo up front, like kind of a real beast, like rim protector. They're going to need some size, if not to guard Fred King, at least to combat and challenge Murray at the rim, which is where they live. I mean, they're just so long. It's weird because they can't translate that to defensive prowess. And that's kind of why I like USC. Like they just keep it rolling. I know they've won two close ones, but I think they keep it flaming, Kai.
Hugh Flamin, game one, they hung with Murray too. In Chicago, they led that game. But The thing about them, they can go toe to toe on the glass with Murray State. They're a really good offensive rebounding team. And in that first matchup, they grabbed 44% of their misses. Murray State did really well on the glass as well. But it's nice to kind of fight fire with fire, flame with flame in that one. So I do like UIC. Definitely lean towards Valpo in the other Missouri Valley game, Jim. They've been just they don't go away. They're cockroaches. They're tough dogs in this league. Not winning a ton of games, but they're hanging around. And I know they're off that Indiana State win. And Bradley's not the typical Bradley team that we've seen in the last couple of years, the dominant sort we've seen in this league. As far as Texas goes, I always kind of like South Carolina as a double-digit dog in the SEC, and I don't think Texas is a big favorite, or a good big favorite. But man, top 10 this year in offense. We realize that they're up in the top 10 in Ken Palm in offense because of how good Dalen Swain has been. He's been insane, and then Titus, the best getting to the line guy in the country. He just is an absolute unstoppable force getting to the bucket. Lean towards South Carolina, UIC official play, lean towards Valpo.
Yep, I'm going to officially play UIC too. Ky, call me Johnny Storm because I'm going to flame on.
Flame on.
There we go. Yeah, you're on. I knew you'd be on board. And Matt would shake his head disgustedly at that
Who?
comic reference. Yeah, exactly. Well, and yeah, UIC almost won that first game with Murray without Crawford, and Crawford is like
that was
emerged
when they
into
were
their
still
best
kind of
player,
like
figuring it out. Murray's defense looks like a team that has been told too frequently to take away the 3-point line, and it's become at the expense of every other part of playing defense. It's like, well, I got him off the 3-point line. I don't care that he went and laid it in or dunked it, and that has really harmed them. I think UIC is just trending way up. I'm going to bet South Carolina on the spread too. I know Swain is amazing right now. I think
He's
there's
great. Yeah.
a lot of people that want him to enter the portal, but then the NBA is like, wait a second, we want the 6'8" versatile guy that can score inside and out. We'll take that guy. So he's going to be in high demand in the offseason, I'm sure. But I think South Carolina can hang around, as Ky mentioned, a double-digit dog type of situation. They slow it down. They play a little slower than a lot of those SEC teams, and they're comfortable in that half-court setting. So Cox plus 11, UIC plus 6, take it down to 5. That's where I'm going to live in that dog section. Let's go to favorite favorites, boys. Last week, Boise destroyed San Jose State. Just bet everybody in that league against San Jose State and Air Force. I think you're going to come out on the right
especially
side
Air
more
Force.
often than not.
I didn't think Fresno was going to do it, but Fresno was like, nope, yep, we're gonna add to the pinata punching. So
Yeah. And yeah, San Jose State is healthier. That's a fair point, Matthew. Maybe focus your efforts on fading the poor air troops. Arkansas only won by 4 at Oklahoma. That pushed the Ken Pom spread. I think it closed 4.5 in the market. So that was a disappointment there. West Virginia barely edged Kansas State. And Virginia needed double overtime to beat Notre Dame. That was rather surprising. All right, Tuesday, again, this is where I leapt to because I didn't love the Monday slate for the favorites. But Air Force is playing on Tuesday, fellas. So why are we not betting Grand Canyon minus 24, 25, 27, whatever they hand us? I'm going to do it. Matt, are you going to join me? You gonna get on board?
yeah, and no, it's on the card. I was just trying to think what my strike is, and like obviously you can't be too strict, but there's a 1,000% chance whatever number this opens at, it closes higher. So
Yep.
get in early.
Okay.
I hate endorsing. What do we call? Well, it's probably too explicit to say on this show, but I don't endorse that behavior, Ky, betting early. But this might be one where you have to break my rule. Yes.
Well,
Don't be
yeah.
but in this case, be
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. No one knows what I don't think we're talking about. But I'm going to take Grand Canyon. Yeah. Because, like Jim said, why not? 8 straight games, Air Force is not covered in this league. They started off 2-0 against the spread. They're now 2-8 against the spread in conference play. They are losing by an average margin of 25 points per game. They are not covering by an average of 9 points per game. So they're just getting slaughtered. They're getting slaughtered and not even coming close to what the market's making it. I will be on Grand Canyon, Jim. It's a good shout.
Yeah, I'm trying to think strike two. I was thinking 27. Now I'm looking at the results and I might just call it 30. I mean, 37 to Utah State, 42 to New Mexico,
I mean,
15 to Nevada. Okay, hung around. 29 to Colorado State, 42 to Boise State. Like it's just if you're a competent team, you are going to name your number against them. And you're just looking at like the spot around Grand Canyon. Okay, they just beat Boise, but that was by 17. I'm not worried about a look ahead to UNLV. I think you get a strong enough effort from them at home, they'll win by 30 in a raucous environment. So I'll ride them there. Speaking of spots, San Diego State off a loss was another one I circled. They're minus 11. They kind of had a strong performance at Utah State, but were not able to hang on and win. I liked them off a loss last game after that Grand Canyon one, and they took care of business at UNLV. And then Kai, do we just keep riding Belmont? They're a freight train right now, even
Hmm.
without Nick McLean. They put up over 100 easily on Murray State. They're minus 13 against Drake. Do either of those two games interest you?
A little bit on Belmont. Yeah, they're a fireball. I don't like laying doubles with San Diego State in any case, so no thanks on that one. Lean towards Belmont, Jim. I'm probably gonna leave it alone. Drake's a tough team because they can get hot from three. They're very dangerous. Like they beat Murray by 11, and in Drake, 'cause they were just absolutely unconscious in that game. So I'm sticking just to GCU in the favorite section.
Yeah, me too. That's all I got. I hate betting favorites. I should do that more, but I'm just too scared.
It's more fun to bet favorites. Matt,
I
get on
know. Maybe a
board.
bully
Bet the
better. Bully
good
better is
team.
a good persona to manifest for those out there who, like me, like to bet the pups too often.
Yeah, as the game's progressing, you're like, oh yeah, I bet on the better team. This is fun.
You
They're
don't get
making
forked.
smart plays.
You're
Yeah,
usually on the positive side of the fork,
yeah,
which is
you are the
fun.
forker. That's right. Okay, let's go to the spot section now, fellas. Last week, Arizona State hung with UCF after that cross-country travel. That was a tough one. Providence, we kind of went back and forth on whether that was a good spot for UConn or for Providence. The Friars hung around with UConn, kept it close. Alabama torched Mizzou. I think we sniffed that one out pretty big time after Mizzou had the double buzzer beaters. And Georgia lost by one in OT. That was a weird game. It got moved to Wednesday from Tuesday after we discussed it on this show. Maybe that threw something off. I would have still backed Georgia. I did back Georgia on our best bets column on Action Network, and I lost that one disappointingly. But I would keep an eye on weather spots on Monday. There's still storms and stuff across the south where they're not great at clearing roads and getting all that travel figured out. So keep an eye out for those. But I have more circled on Tuesday. First, you've got the Big East showdown look ahead. UConn at St. John's at Madison Square Garden on Friday night. DePaul is +9 as a home dog against St. John's. Xavier is +18 at UConn. Both of those are Tuesday. So keep that one potentially in mind. And then the flip side or related to that is what we mentioned with Duke UNC coming up. Do you have the stomach to take Boston College getting somewhere between 25 and 30 points at Cameron Indoor with Duke potentially looking ahead? And we also mentioned Syracuse against UNC on the other side of that. Matthew, any of those four dogs with the better teams looking ahead to massive top of conference tilts, any of them appeal to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I considered Boston College, but didn't. And they're 2-4. Sorry, 2-2 in their last four games. Like they've objectively played pretty competitive basketball. Four straight covers. And as I said preseason, I know I was way too high on BC, but they are like athletic-ish. Like they have some size and their offense is putrid, right? But I think if you have a chance to compete against Duke, you have to at least be able to compete athletically. And frankly, like Virginia Tech in many spots like was not. Like I think Boston College actually has a better athletic makeup to defend Duke. Now, can they score enough? I don't know. Their point guard plays a disaster, but maybe Duke comes in really sleepy. You're right after that, trip to Castle. Where I thought they really controlled the game, and they got the big date up coming. I'm not going to bet if this is the one I like the most, Shim. I gave it a good long look.
DePaul intrigues me a little bit. I have not been a Blue Demon all year, but why can't they hang around with St. John's? They did pretty much in the first game. St. John's handled them most of the way, but they're big enough, athletic enough, tough enough on defense, and St. John's with sure a little look ahead. DePaul's been much more competitive this year, so I lean their way. UConn laying this many points to anybody right now is a little bit intriguing. I'm not a Xavier fan whatsoever, but the Huskies have not looked convincing. Creighton game aside, they of course just absolutely smashed Creighton after I say this, but Seton Hall was close, Georgetown was close, Nova was close, Providence was close. Maybe the Creighton game got them off their back, but would lean towards Xavier there. And then Jim, the A10 is just tough. I'm not fading SLU ever, so you can throw that one right out the window. But Dayton is a shell of itself. The vibes are bad around that program. Vibes are pretty bad around Bonaventure as well. They blew that George Mason game. They were they did beat Duquesne, but they got smashed by SLU earlier than that. Would lean their way against Dayton, but I don't have any strong convictions there.
Yeah, those two A10 games you're mentioning, Kai, with Dayton coming off the shellacking at St. Louis. They're taking on St. Bonaventure, but Dayton also has like look ahead aspects to VCU. That kind of feels like a potential forced retirement with Anthony Grant. Like the fan base is, I think, done with it. And yeah, St. Bonaventure, man, should have had that game against George Mason. Final 4 minutes. My buddy Tim Murray was on St. Bonaventure, and he was pretty bummed by that. I think both of you were on George Mason, maybe.
Was on Mason, yeah. Fortunate,
So
fortunate.
worked out better for you guys there. Always nice to have one of those go your way. The one I'm going to back of this entire group for sure is DePaul. Kai, you touched on it. The first meeting was like dead even in a lot of key statistical categories. Both teams shot the same thing from two. Both teams are pretty close to even on the glass, 39 to 35. Turnovers are just about even. DePaul's the number one turnover rate in league play on offense. They don't cough it up. I think that's big against St. John's pressure. That was at St. John's. I think you get the sustainability of some of those key stats to go with potentially the St. John's look ahead. And I just somewhat weirdly kind of trust DePaul to be feisty. 9 points at home. I don't know exactly what we'll end up
Yeah, they've been good at
getting.
home. Undefeated in conference, but or sorry, their last four games at home they've won, and they've lost their last four on the road and been mostly competitive. Yeah, I think they're actually like a good home. There's some home
Yeah.
juice at
Only
the
home
LA
loss
Trust here.
was UConn, and UConn
I
beats everybody in this conference. So
I don't want to be a correcting Karen here, Jim,
please
but
do.
DePaul dead last in turnover rate in Big East play.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
It
right.
did
I was
spike.
looking at St.
Yeah,
John's. Thank you. I was
it
looking
is
at St.
weird.
John's. Okay. Okay. So that could be a problem. Well, they didn't turn it over in the first meeting. It was
Yes,
not a
that's a
problem
good
for them
sign.
there.
It's a good
So I will
sign.
ride that. I'm glad you corrected me, Kai, because we want to give the people accurate information. Always be a correcting Karen if you
Yes.
catch me. But yeah, gun blocker. You got a couple of guys that can take care of it. They play through their bigs at times. I think they can handle St. John's at least enough to keep it close. Maybe there's a fork happening in that game, but we've seen both St. John's and UConn play with their food a little bit in this conference, and especially with that big one at MSG looming. I think there's something to be said. So I will back the Blue Demons. Not going to go ahead with Xavier. Not going to take BC either. That's just like Duke
Can't do
can
it.
decide to win by 40 if they want to. But I will lock into Paul +9. Any other dogs for you guys or spots that I didn't highlight? Matt, I'll go to you first. Any ones that I may have missed or just, did not fully break down in the discussion?
I will say the Slew Davidson matchup. Like I think Slew's gonna win. But that's like the one every A10 coach is like, yeah, Davidson's the one team that's just tricky. They play differently. It's just a different kind of prep. You get them on a hot night and they are deep. Just that's a weird one. That one does worry me. I'm not gonna bet Davidson here, but that was the one I did look at as well, Jim. Um,
If you want to stay in the A10, just intrigue. How about Fordham being a little bit weirdly good lately? Beating George
yeah, Mikey
Washington on the
Magpies, of
road.
course. What do you expect?
So they're hosting VCU, and VCU has that same, look ahead Dayton. Um, and Fordham's at home, 9 point dog. They're physical at least. They can at least put up a fight defensively. Not sure they'll ever score in this game, but intrigued a bit by the Rams there.
Yeah, they just beat
Yeah,
G Dub
The
without
Fordham Rams, the
Castro,
Fordham
so
Rams, not the
that's
VCU
kind of.
Rams.
But I'm with you, Kai. I'm not a VCU guy this year. I don't think they're very good.
Yeah, there's the one Ergo year where Rose Hill Gym at Fordham was like a legitimately tough place to play. Like every team that went there was like, oh my God, when they actually have fans in there, that place is a tough cracker box. And so VCU's got home, at Fordham, and then back home for Dayton. I could see that one-off trip up to NYC being like, really, we got to go deal with Fordham, who's going to be feisty and well coached, play really slowly offensively, make us grind in the half court, which is not what VCU wants to do. Kai, I kind of buy that. It's a similar 9 point angle to the DePaul one. I think it's actually the same projected score per Ken Palm. So
Spooky.
I'm not going to actually lock in Fordham, but I think if people want to dive into that more and like that angle, it's worthwhile. It's got some merit to it.
I'm glad Akira Jacobs is a good ball player. I saw that early. I saw the talent years
Okay.
ago.
Matt wants to beat his
Congratulations, Matt.
chest on Akira
Yeah.
Jacobs. That's right, folks.
Good job, Matthew.
See, Hawaii transfer, Matthias? Is that what we're
Yeah,
looking at
he's
there?
remember he had a really good game against UNC 2 years ago as a freshman, and then kind of turned into a pumpkin. And I forgot about him. And Magpie recruited him because they have Filipino ties or something.
There you go.
They're both
You watch the right game, get the good scout, and it pays off 2 years later down the road. All right, let's get to our last section before we recap all of our bets, and that is the trash section. We have not been locking in a lot of wagers on this section, but we have correctly identified ugly games. So last week we had a very trashy performance between Stonehill and Central Connecticut, a game that ended 61 to 59. I went with Canisius and Niagara, the kind of dregs of the MAC. They're barely better than Ryder, Kai, who I know
Ugh.
you have a soft spot for.
Yeah.
These two teams are combined 5 and 17 in the Metro Atlantic. They're both sub 340 at Ken Palm. It is a 1 point spread. Kai, can you talk yourself into either the Golden Griffins or the Purple Eagles in a very colorful matchup?
Gosh. Well, I can tell you about matchup one. It was 58 possessions, Jim. So you chose a good one, and it was 100 113 total points. So not a good game to watch. Teams combined for 11 for 38 from three. It was ugly. Both teams are kind of drawn dead. I would say Canisius is being more competitive in league play, but this is a crapshoot of a league. Like any team, any given night can cover. I guess Niagara's been a little more feisty than I thought too. I'll leave Niagara at home here, getting a sweep over Canisius. Matthew.
I like Canisius. Niagara's
Ah,
best players out again today. They
okay,
scored
that seems important.
46 points against Marist. I repeat, 46 against. I know Marist's defense is pretty good. Um, I know Canisius is also down their point guard who they got back, Marcus Nyblack, who got kicked off like his fifth team in 5 years. And so now they're just trotting out Ky, your boy. What's his name?
Who's my boy?
Who's his
Uh,
boy? I
oh
don't
yeah,
know who
Bernard,
Matt.
who was out. So he's been out too. Like, take the under in this game. Don't. This is an under for me. This is like a keep it simple, stupid. I forgot he's out. So they have no point guard. There's no point guards in this game.
Kim Palm
Yep.
projects at 126. That does feel high for these two
And it's
teams.
Friday,
Yep.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's 3 and 5, I believe, for both. Or is that just for? No, yeah, it's for
No, it's
both
3 and 5
too.
for
Yeah,
both.
under.
Yeah.
Great call,
Cool.
guys. Good
There it
workshop.
is. It
All
is
right.
the trash. And as Kai mentioned, 58 possessions, which would be below the Ken Palm projection of 60. The first meeting had 58. So if they keep on that trend, I would definitely lean that underway as well. That's kind of what we expect out of the trash games. We don't find shootouts for the trash. That wouldn't be quite as trashy. Well, all right, fellas, that's it. Let's recap our picks. I've got a big slate per usual. That's my norm on this show. I got Texas Tech at that -4.5 on Monday night. NC State somewhere around -1. I think I'd lay up to 2 on the road at SMU. I think Will Wade gets done. Going to take McNeese on the road to get the sweep in the Southland. South Carolina and UIC as dogs. Not going to sprinkle the money line, but South Carolina hopefully getting double digits. UIC down to 5 against Murray State. Grand Canyon laying up to, I think I said 30. Yeah, I guess I'll say up to 30 against Air Force. And then DePaul, home dog +9 with that look ahead spot potentially for St. John's. Matthew, I'm gonna go to you next. What's your card for the week?
Yeah, I had UIC as my only official. I'm gonna add one more, and I think it's got to be. I got to get 7. Anything below 7, I wouldn't touch it. I like the Salukis going on the road to Illinois State. They got second game, or I think He's played 2 in a row. They might get Stafford back for that game, but I just think it's a good little revenge spot for the Saluki team, who I think's had some bad luck, really bad end game stuff, and they're competitive. I like them as a dog for sure in this spot against pretty clear rival. I gotta have it, game. You lose this one, you're flirting with the doomsday Thursday entry slot into the Arch Madness. So I like Salukis here. 2 tight for me.
Yeah, in game one, they led by 12. Prince League was out that game. So there's precedence from hanging around there, Matt, against the Redbirds. 5-pack for me. SMU against NC State's Jim and I are head to head.
Head to
Indiana
head.
head to head. Indiana against USC. I think the Hoosiers keep it rolling. I'm taking Buffalo against the spread against Miami of Ohio, team that's played with fire 4 straight games. UIC, speaking of fire, I'm taking them as well against Murray State. And then Grand Canyon to complete Air Force's 9th straight non-cover.
Matt, you're a coward for not fading Air Force. How dare you?
Oh yeah, Air Force. Sorry, that's like I'm forgetting one. Yeah, Grand Canyon. Sorry, thank you. That's on my card.
There we go.
Grand
It just
Canyon.
takes a little gentle bullying, folks.
Yeah,
That's all you
bullying.
got to
A
remember.
bully to be a bully. That's right. Good.
That's right. All right. Well, oh yeah, last week I guess we could recap real quick. I was 4-3. Kai was 3-2-1. Matt was 2-1. So
Okay,
hey,
we'll take it.
just don't you never go broke taking a profit, folks. Just if you can be above 500, you're a happy gambler. So
How about Kim
that is what
English,
we're
the
hoping to
old
do
cover
again.
against UConn? How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Hey,
Good job,
for
Kim
you,
English.
Matthew.
Nice.
You
Your
went
boy.
for it, and he delivered, and then they kind of rolled over the game after over the weekend, which was sort of expected.
Dead
But
last right
that's
now.
it for us. Yeah, not a good Big East team. That is it for us here on the Monday morning episode of BBOC. Make sure to tune in the rest of the week, the midweek episode, and the Friday morning episode, so you get your whole week covered in terms of college basketball betting. Got our picks, got our breakdowns. Hopefully, you found some gems of your own. Thank you to David, our producer behind the scenes, and to Action Network. That's it for us. Enjoy the basketball. Cheers.